Ladies and gentlemen, one of the candidates for judge in the upcoming primaries is our guest today, Mrs. Kim Przekota. Kim, welcome. Thank you so much for taking your time to visit us at the Polish Daily News.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
I checked your website. It's a great page, and it describes you as an attorney, mother, coach, and a leader. Let's focus on those.
Okay.
And why don't we start with an attorney? Your education started not as a lawyer. You started as a historian, medieval historian.
Yes.
At Ayana College. Why medieval history?
Well, I went to college in New York and I started studying history because I thought I wanted to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. Both of my parents are educators and I love history, especially medieval history. So I began studying medieval history and I even studied 1 year at Oxford University in England.
That must have been a great experience.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So do you think that medieval times, those were the dark ages, or this is just a popular misconception?
I think it's a popular misconception. The Middle Ages were a fascinating period of history.
You're also a mother. Tell us about your family.
Yes. So I'm married. My husband's name is Kim Przekota. We have 3 little kids. Tommy, who's 8, Cecilia, who's 6, and Max, who is 3.5.
Wow. Then the coach, and this is another important fact. You were a great athlete in college, and you played water polo, one of the toughest, most difficult sports there is.
Yes. So I ended up going to college in New York, even though I grew up on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I was recruited to swim and play water polo. Mm-hmm. That's where I met my husband, who was from Chicago. We were both swimmers and water polo players. But we both continue to remain involved in water polo. He still plays on a master's team, and I coach high school girls. And I've coached either little kids or high school age kids for 20 years now.
Yeah, because coach is another word that perfectly describes you. What do you teach those kids? How important teaching, coaching is for you?
I love coaching, and I love water polo. So to be able to coach water polo has been a real privilege. I like to coach because it's a fun way to give back to the community. Mm-hmm. It's a great way to expose young women to a sport that I love and a sport that allowed me to go a lot of different places. So I went to school on the East Coast, and water polo was sort of the vehicle that took me there. Even when I studied abroad at Oxford, I played on the water polo team at Oxford, and it allowed me to make new friends, travel to new places. So it's been a great vehicle for me to experience different life experiences, but it also teaches you a lot of positive life skills, how to be a good teammate, how to work with other people, how to work hard, how to lose. So you learn a lot of good things playing sports.
And water polo is one of the most underrated sports. It requires a lot from every player.
Yes, they say it's the hardest sport in the world to play because it combines the endurance of a sport like soccer with the physicality of a sport like wrestling or American football. And you're doing it all in the water with no bottom to stand on. It's hard work, but it's a lot of fun.
It's extremely physical.
Yes.
And the leader, the final word that you use to describe yourself is a leader. Tell us about your leadership qualities and the work that you do for the community.
Yes, so I try to be a leader in each category of my life, whether it's within my family, set a good example for my children, or it's at work with my partners. Or even on the campaign trail, I try to set a good example and be positive and always have an open mind and learn. In terms of my work with the community, in addition to coaching, I've been involved in a program called Lawyers in the Classroom for the last 5 years. And it's a really neat program that's run through the Cook County, or the Cook County State's Attorney's Office makes it available to us as lawyers. And you volunteer, and 3 times a year you go to different classrooms around the city and you speak to students. So I actually go again this coming Friday. I go to an 8th grade classroom and we speak to the students about sort of general civics lessons, the Constitution, things like that. But then we also answer their questions about our careers. Why did I go to law school? How hard is law school? How long do you go? What is your job like? So it's a really neat way to expose young people to legal careers, especially if they don't have lawyers in their family, which I didn't growing up. So it's a nice way to sort of introduce young people to something new.
You grew up in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon.
Yes.
So what was the path that led you to Chicago?
Well, I mean, all roads kind of lead back to water polo, funnily enough. But My dad worked at the University of Oregon, and he told me I could go anywhere I wanted to college. He'll kill me for saying this, as long as it costs less than the U of O. So I could have gone to Oregon for free because it's a state school. I lived in the state and my dad worked there. So I had to get a full ride. And so I worked really hard in school. I worked really hard in sports. I ended up going to school in New York on academic and athletic scholarship. So that was the path that led me out of Oregon. I met my husband, Chris, who's from the Northwest side. He is part of an enormous Polish family here in Chicago.
Where the Polish name Przekota comes from.
Yes, Chris's dad, actually, John Przekota, was born in Europe. His family was displaced during World War II. And he was born in Germany. And his mother and father met at a refugee camp. And then they were sponsored by friends here in Chicago, a Polish family. They moved here. So I met Chris in New York, and we came back here because he had such strong ties to the community in the area. And they've sort of embraced me wholeheartedly. And
the law school,
wonderful.
Your law school happened also here in Chicago. You got your Dr. Juris degree here at DePaul.
Yes, I did.
How was that? What made you make that decision? Have you always wanted
to go to law school? Yes. I didn't always want to be a lawyer. I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And I sort of, when I was in graduate school in New York, I started thinking about law school as a possibility. I nannied for a family where both mom and dad, they were lawyers. And so that sort of got me thinking maybe law school. And when I started law school, I thought I wanted to work at a big firm and, do all this stuff. And then I was hooked on criminal law from the first day of class. I like criminal law, evidence, trial advocacy, all the things that led me into public service.
You in Chicago, was it love at first sight or you had to adjust?
I love Chicago. I did. I thought growing up in Oregon, I wanted to live in New York City. It was the furthest away from home and the polar opposite. Big city. But when I got out there, it was great. It just wasn't the right fit. Chicago was perfect. It's halfway between New York and Oregon, or close enough in distance, but also in feel. The Midwest big cities have a different feel than New York. And once I got used to the alleys, I can't live without an alley.
Yeah, they help a lot.
Well, it keeps the city clean and the grid system. Chicago's just a wonderful city.
Awesome. Great to hear. Kim, you work as an assistant state attorney. Tell us about your work. What exactly is it that you do? Okay.
Well, I've been an assistant state's attorney in Cook County my entire career, so over 15 years now. An assistant state's attorney is a prosecutor. They call prosecutors by different names in different areas. It could be an assistant district attorney, but it's all basically the same. We advocate for the people of Cook County. I am assigned to the criminal division. So what that means is I handle criminal cases. I'm the first chair in a felony courtroom. There's 3 prosecutors. I'm the head prosecutor, and then I have 2 partners, and we all sort of work together to manage all of the cases assigned to the room. The division of labor is I handle the homicide cases. The second chair handles all of the violence where no one was killed. And then the third chair handles everything else, drugs and guns and property crimes. So with that division, we all work as a team to try to achieve justice in each case, whatever that happens to look like.
We have to ask about the Safety Act that was implemented. There were a lot of changes, no cash bond anymore. Is it too early to evaluate? Was it the right decision to implement that law, or you already know, you already have?
I think it's the right decision in theory. I think it's too soon to say what changes or tweaks need to be made to make it work as efficiently and as fairly as possible. So right now it's still fairly new, and as we're dealing with it in the courtroom, it's a little too soon to say what changes need to be made, but we're sort of working our way through it as a system. The state's attorney's offices, the public defender's offices, the court system, the judges, the clerks, we're all kind of working together to navigate this new system. But the thinking behind it is the right thinking. You don't want 2 people similarly situated, but for money, one to be in and one to be out of custody. It's just fundamentally unfair. So the change is the right change, in my personal opinion. It's just taking time to sort of work out the procedural, achieve procedural efficiency.
Yeah. you're running for judge, and in your opinion, what qualities should people be looking for in the judges that they are electing?
I think the three most important qualities in a judge are that the individual be experienced, hardworking, and fair. If an individual doesn't possess all three of those qualities, let's say they have one or they have two, it doesn't work. You need all three. You need someone with experience who's been in courtrooms, who's been a lawyer for a period of years, who knows what they're doing, and who's been exposed to a lot of different types of law and cases. So, for example, in my 15 years, I've handled misdemeanors, traffic, domestic violence, felonies. I've been involved in each procedural stage of those cases, from what was bond court and is now first appearance court to preliminary hearings, the grand jury, branch 66, felony trial division, jury trials, bench trials, pre-trial motions, post-trial motions. So you need someone with experience that knows how to handle those cases as they come before them. The second would be hard work. You have to be hardworking. You have to want to come to work and do the work. It's hard work to be a judge. It's not easy.
Yeah.
The judge I appear before always says the hardest part of a criminal judge's job is to sentence people. And it's hard. It's not just, intellectually difficult work. It's emotionally difficult work. So I think you have to be a hard worker. And then finally, you have to be fair. And you have to always strive to be fair. And the biggest part of being fair as a judge, I feel, is having an open mind. So when a case comes before you, regardless of what path brought you to the bench, so for me, it's a prosecutor. I have to be able to take that hat off. I'm not a prosecutor anymore. I have an open mind. I'm hearing both sides. I'm looking at the evidence as it's presented and then making the right decision based on fairness.
Wow. You spoke about the experience. How much time do you as a lawyer spend in the courtroom? Usually when we talk to lawyers, they say it's 20% courtroom, 80% paperwork. How does it look in your case?
For prosecutors, it's probably almost exactly reversed. I would say we're in the courtroom probably 80% of the time and doing paperwork or at our desk 20% of the time. So every single day, my partners and I are responsible for a court call, and there could be 20 to 40 plus cases on the call each day. So we're responsible, we're in court, we're working hard, we're making offers, we're litigating, we're, doing detention hearings under the Safety Act. And then when a court call is done, then we go up to our desks in the late afternoon and are doing paperwork to get the next day's call ready. And that's just daily. And on top of that, when there's jury trials, murder trials, attempt murder trials, vehicular hijacking trials, then you're in the courtroom all day, every day while the trial is going on.
So let's talk about the elections, some technicalities of the upcoming elections. Your name can be found on the Democratic ballot.
Yes.
How the process will look like. When we'll be able to call you a judge? What's the process?
Knock on wood. Hopefully
Knock on wood, exactly.
One day. In Cook County, you can run for judge and be elected within a sub-circuit, which is a smaller geographic area, or you can run countywide. And right now, there's individuals running for both. So I am running in the 11th Judicial Sub-Circuit. There's other individuals running countywide. So they're covering a bigger geographic area. When we're elected, however, we would both be judges in Cook County.
The entire
Yes. So just because I'm running in the 11th Sub-Circuit, if I were fortunate enough to win the election, I could sit anywhere in Cook County, not just the 11th Sub-Circuit, but countywide. The 11th Sub-Circuit just geographically runs from the south of Park Ridge. So Toohey Avenue is the north border. So Toohey Avenue south, and it's more or less a straight shot down to Oak Park. So it's Norridge, Harwood Heights, Elmwood Park, all of Oak Park. And then the south of Oak Park is the southern border. To the west, you have Rosemont and O'Hare are included in 11. And then moving to the east, you're going to have the northwest side of the city. So you're going to have parts of Edison Park, parts of Jefferson Park, parts of Galewood. It covers parts of the 45th, 41st, 38th, and 29th wards. So it's kind of like a big, oddly shaped area, but it covers a lot of communities. There's two of us running, both Democrats, both women. The primary is March 19th. So early voting will start 2 weeks before that. And then March 19th is the primary. And then whichever one of us, me or my opponent, wins the primary will be unopposed for the general election in November.
Yeah, so pretty much this is the moment, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Let's not delay making that decision. That decision will pretty much be determined right now in March.
Yes.
Awesome. Where can we find more information about you, about your campaign? How can we get in touch with you?
Sure. So there's 3 different ways. To get information, I would suggest you go to my website, which is www.kimprzekota4judge.com. So www.kimprzekota4judge.com. That has all of my background information and a lot of helpful tools, including a map of the subcircuit. So if you're like, I don't know what subcircuit I am, you could put your address in and it will show you.
Yeah.
Next would be I have a campaign Facebook page, which if you just go on Facebook and you search Kim Przekota for Judge, it will pop up. And that gets updated kind of daily or multiple times a week with different endorsements and things like that. And finally, email. Someone could email me if they have a question or they want a lawn sign, for example. It's just kimprzekota4judge@gmail. So those 3, the website, Facebook, and email are the best way to get information as well as to reach out to me.
Perfect. Whenever we talk to political candidates, we ask them about their platform, about things that they will be fighting for. It's hard to do that for the candidates for judge, but what are the areas that you would like to focus? What things you want to do as a judge?
Well, it's tricky as a judge because ethically we're not allowed to talk about issues that could potentially come before us if we became a judge. So I would instead sort of emphasize those 3 characteristics that I spoke about: experience, hard work, and fairness, that I have based my entire legal career on those concepts as a lawyer, and I would continue to do so as a judge. Odds are I would probably sit in criminal because that would be the easiest transition based on my experience. However, I'd be open to sit wherever, the judiciary needed me to go. So if it meant learning something new, I'd be open to do that. It's exciting and it's challenging and it's nerve-wracking running for office and transitioning to something new. But I am encouraged by the fact that it continues to be public service, and I've been a public servant my entire career. It's just a new form of public service that I'm really excited about.
As a prosecutor, I'm sure you've seen a lot of judges in action.
Yes.
Can you name a few that in particular will be like a mentor for you or an example that you'd like to follow?
Sure. So there's judges who I've appeared before who I consider role models. And then there are also judges who have been great resources for me in my campaign, and then the judges overlap. So I could name, a dozen, but I guess I'll focus on the one who I've appeared before most in the last 2.5 years is the judge I'm assigned to. His name is Judge John Lake. And he has been just a fabulous role model for me and inspiration in terms of what I would like to be like on the bench. He's all of the things I spoke about, but on top of that, he's a great listener. He's always looking to do justice. He's always looking to do the right thing, to listen, to keep an open mind. And I really aspire to be those same things. And like I said, I've appeared before him every day, all day for the last 2.5 years. And I've learned a lot. There's a lot of other judges, and I don't want to just name, but he is the one that I am in front of all the time who's really sort of helped inspire me to take this path. I have a few girlfriends who are judges who have also been pushing me from the background. In terms of running, I've never ran before, and the political side of things has been very interesting and very challenging. I'm always learning a lot, but I have to go to people all the time and ask sometimes silly questions. How do I do this? What's the best way to do that? And so judges like Judge Marsalek, who's the presiding judge of traffic, has been very helpful. Judge Nowinski, who I spoke to in the very beginning, was very helpful about, should I run? How do I run? What steps do I need to take? My girlfriend, Judge Michelle Gemsky, has been wonderful. Judge Lorraine Murphy. It's just nice having a support system that you appear before and can look up to. Judge Sucker-Dermer and Skokie is another one. But then also people you have been friends with before they hit the bench who are wonderful resources.
Wow. You have already received a lot of endorsements from many different bar associations here. Could you name a few?
So I've received different endorsements. I was endorsed by the Advocate Society, which is the Polish Lawyers Bar Association. I've been endorsed by the Democratic politicians in the 11th Subcircuit, which includes Senate President Don Harmon, Senators Laura Murphy and Rob Martwick, Alderman Jim Gardner, Alderman Chris Taliaferro, and then different committee people, including Joe Cook. So that was like a really encouraging support early on. And then I also have received endorsements from the Chicago Federation of Labor, Personal PAC, and then different individual unions, such as the electricians, machine operators, plumbers, the Coalition PAC. So a PAC is a political action committee, which I'm sure you know, but different PACs have given me support, including the Coalition PAC. So it's been very encouraging to receive support as I navigate my way through the whole campaign process.
Congratulations. It's a broad support.
Yes.
You bring a lot. And we're blessed as a community, as a Cook County community, to have somebody like you aspiring to be the judge. Hopefully, we'll be able to judge another descriptive word, not just attorney, not just mother, not just coach, and not just a leader, but also a judge, a Cook County judge. Ladies and gentlemen, Kim Przekota, at this very moment, a candidate, and I hope a future judge in the Cook County, was our guest today. Please look for her name on the Democratic ballot in the upcoming primaries. And for more information about Kim, go to Kim Przekota 4judge.com. Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the best to you.
Thank you very much. And thank you